Hi, I'm Mark Manney, and I'm going to be doing a series of talks called Decentralization Now. The idea is to discuss how to shift from a life of dependence upon centralized institutions and authority and dependencies toward a life of freedom and abundance. So, for the past 12 years, I've actually been living this way, and it occurred to me the other day that I actually run an organization. I run a couple different organizations where everyone I work with is also living this way. So I thought it might be a good idea to do a series of talks just for my team, but also it might appeal to other people around the world who are looking to escape traditional ways of living. What I mean by that is to escape jobs, to escape, this life path of spending your whole youth in school and then college and then finally graduating and trying to get a job and never really discovering your true identity, never really living in freedom. This includes everything from how we work to how we live. I mean, relationships, romantic relationships, family relationships. I want to talk about this massive shift that people go to when they go to the gig economy, when they leave a job, when they start their own business, when they maybe live in a foreign country. And I've also done that for the past 12 years. So I have some insights based on my experiences, my trials and my errors, and some of the things I've learned in running a couple different kinds of organizations. And I'll talk about that. But again, this was really intended for the people who I work with. Many of them are in India and also in Slovakia. And, I think we're all living in a way that we wake up in the morning and we have to figure out our own lives. We don't have a boss telling us to be at work at a certain time and then we get to go home at a certain time and then we've done our job and everything is fine. It's a radically different way of living. And it requires, to be happy and to be successful living in freedom, really requires a different knowledge, a different skill set, a different way of looking at life. Most people around you, if you choose to live this way, most people, wherever you may live, are going through those normal routines. You find yourself maybe in the grocery store at 10:30 in the morning when everybody else is at work. You find yourself on your own schedule, doing your own thing. No one really understands the way you live. And every day you wake up and you face the challenge of a totally blank canvas. What are you going to do today? It's very easy to fall into the trap of fear. It's very easy to worry about where your income's gonna come from. You can worry all day long because there are no rules. I think this is where the economy is going, where the world is going. I think what's happening is that centralized institutions are no longer really serving the needs of most people in the world. Maybe they never have. Some people are perfectly content following the path. And what does that path look like? What is the path of, a centralized life? Basically, that means listening to your teacher when you're young, getting good grades, joining the sports team, going to college, trying to fit in to a predetermined path for life. And I've done that. I did all that. I went to college. I played sports. I have an MBA. I graduated and I went to work for a company. And I did that before age 30, up until age 30. I lived that life. And I remember feeling this longing for freedom, this longing to be free and do my own thing and become who I'm meant to be. And that was all very abstract at that time. I felt that if I could just find a way to earn the income without having to go to a job, if I could just maybe live abroad and travel and do whatever I wanted to, that life would be wonderful and easy, and just that's the destination. I remember how it feels to sit in the office, to be exhausted. You have to wake up at a certain time. You have to take the bus or drive in. You have to stay there until 5 p.m. or 5:15, and you're filled with these feelings of fear. Everything you do is based on guilt and obligation, and a lot of guilt comes from the fact that you're getting paid a salary, and some days you just don't produce the way you're supposed to. And you have a status, you have an identity that's derived from that job, that lifestyle, your car, your home, things like this, your neighborhood. And then, and a lot of it is difficult because, like I said, you don't always feel every day like that's the way you want to live. And then you have your short weekends and you do some shopping or something, and you just don't have that much energy left to explore all the potential that life has to offer, all the possibilities. And so most people who are living in that way, they do dream of what would their life be like if they could leave that behind and try something new. What you don't anticipate when you do finally make that break, you don't really know what to do next, and no one really tells you what it's going to be like. I remember when I left the office environment in Seattle and I moved to Slovakia many years ago. And I remember this feeling like, wow, I'm free. I have all this time. I wake up and it's my own day. Now, I did have a job, but of course I worked at home and had some additional freedom beyond being in the office and things like that. But I remember feeling like a little bit of depressed, like who am I? What am I going to do? I no longer can really identify as that person who's in that office, dressed like all the other people in that office and doing that routine. And this feeling, this feeling of freedom, it's a big burden on a person. And then you start thinking about your sources of income. What if that gig goes away? What will I do next? You have a lot of guilt when sometimes you just decide not to work for part of the day. You don't know what to do with your time. And I want to talk about many dimensions to help you deal with a life of freedom. Now, decentralization goes far beyond just the idea of working at home and having a contract or gig or whatever it may be. It involves really eliminating any dependencies. You no longer can depend on one source of anything. It means no longer depending on a bank, no longer depending upon, obviously, having a company or something like that. You're working with people who are all free, different entities. You're bringing them together. And how would a person, how do you earn a living in freedom? It's a radical idea for most people. Most people don't know what they would do, I think, to truly live in freedom. So I can talk only about my experience, and that's what I'll do in this series of talks. It's going to go beyond just strategy, beyond just different anecdotes of day-to-day life. It's going to go far beyond that into the realm of spirituality. And when I say spirituality, what I really mean is how do you align yourself away from fear and ego? How do you find that sense of calm? Because if you don't find that sense of calm, if you have to face yourself all day long, every single day, if you have to face that blank canvas of freedom before you every single morning when you wake up, and if you are remaining in this place of fear and every email you get either makes you emotionally thrilled and excited or makes you angry and you want to get revenge and attack someone, if you're living that way, this can be really quite horrific. It can be really a torturous experience to live that way if you are within the realm of ego and fear, if you believe that's real. If you believe that the world is scarce and that you're going to be cut off from a source of abundance, that is, if you're not there, you're going to wake up and you're going to probably want to feel that security of going back to a job. In truth, there is no security in a job. There is no stability in an institution or in a company. But we want to believe that there is. We want to be told what to do by someone else, and we don't want to take that on on our own, most of us. But again, this is a series of talks, and the Abscondo blog, my blog, is about how to live in freedom, how to live a decentralized life, how to run a decentralized organization, how to be your own boss, how to answer to no one. Most importantly, it's about how to be happy in that world, in that reality. So, one of the things is that when you live this way, you tend to cut yourself off from people. And I know I have, I work with dozens of people in India, several people in Slovakia, people in the US, all around the world. Everything I do, and I run a lead gen company, so we run sales campaigns for 12 clients right now, for enterprise software clients. I'm also building a mobile app called I Am by InfoBeing, and both of these ventures is comprised of a team of people that are entirely independent around the world, working at home and working in unison, even though we barely communicate. So I think it'll be interesting to people to explore how might organizations work differently as we move into the future. How might we allow everyone we work with to live in freedom? How do we unburden ourselves from having to manage people? How do we incentivize people to produce what they need to produce, and how do we pay them in a way that is profitable for everyone and fair? So these are the things that I've been learning over the past 5 or 6 years in particular as I've scaled up these businesses of mine. And I want to share some of this information. One of the things I haven't done very well over the years is I haven't really nurtured relationships with the people who I work with. And I'm hoping that this series of talks, I hope that you guys will listen to this and together we can explore, how we can all do things better, be happier, produce better results, and make more money, and just overall, improve as we go on. I think it's important that we find a way to understand that we're not alone. Those of us who are living and working in this way, I think we need to do a better job nurturing community. Even though we're all doing very different things, we all face very similar challenges, and I hope that I can somehow serve anyone brave enough to live this way with some ideas, just get a dialogue going, and it's not just me talking, but also, please comment and ask questions. I'd like to really make this an exploration that is the starting point for an entirely different way of living. Ultimately, I think we all want to live in freedom. We all want to have plenty of money, plenty of time, plenty of wonderful relationships. We want to travel. We want to experience life. We want to do all the things we've dreamed of doing. And that's only possible through decentralization. Because if you rely on someone else, if you're not your own boss, if you don't own your own time, and you don't make your own decisions, and you can't say what's really on your mind, and you can't do what you are excited about doing in reality, then you aren't free. And to be not free is to be a slave. So, to master this is to master life. Now, I've not mastered it yet, but I'm pretty far along in this journey, and I've learned some things along the way, and I'd like to share it with everyone. I'm not going to cover everything here in this first talk, but I would like to ask for any feedback as to some issues you guys are facing. A lot of you that I work with, a lot of people on my team are new at this. They've just left the job. They're starting up their own operation. I'd love to know more about your feelings, your struggles, your fears, your challenges. And I'll be doing this at least on a weekly basis for some time to come, because it really goes to the core of what I'm here on this earth to do personally. And I'd like to think that leading people, helping people along the path of freedom and abundance, happiness, fulfillment, love, there's nothing better in the world. And the thing is, it's so possible. It's so there for everyone. And that's the amazing thing. You can just decide immediately, right in this instant, to live this way. And there you go. No one's stopping you. Nothing is stopping you from doing anything. That's the most amazing, exciting thing about this. And I mean every word. And I will cover this in future shows. I don't want to call it a show. Let's just call it a series of talks or whatever. So on this first talk, I want to do a special promo. I have one of the companies I work with, and this is the only company that I really work with. They're called Get Friday, and they're great for outsourcing work. They're based in India, and at a relatively low cost, you can have them do a lot of the administrative tasks and other kinds of routine work, and manage their own team and things like this. And I'd like to shift, I'd like to shift as much as possible toward a model where everyone is more free. They're still a company, so they're still managing people to do this. And I have some issues with that, to be honest, because I don't like to think of people, because of me, because of my work. I don't want people in the office having to obey orders and things like this. But as you start your business, or your whatever it is as your source of income, it's useful to have someone like a Get Friday to outsource some of the work to. It's all about scaling. It's all about focusing on your core competency and letting other people, or hiring other people to do the pieces that they can do better than you. So you're focused on where you have value, and you outsource everything else, and you have to pay for that. So I bring this up, and I bring up Get Friday because they were kind enough to offer 3 gift cards for 5 hours of free work. So I'd like for anybody listening, if you'd like to try Get Friday, 5 hours of free work, just please write to me. You can reach me at mark.manney@infobeing.com, and I will introduce you to Get Friday, and you can hire them for 5 hours and try it yourself. You can visit my blog, abscondo.com, ABSCONDO, for that link, or just write to me, and I'll connect you with Get Friday. So I hope you guys find this intriguing. It's going to get deep. It's going to get detailed. And I have no idea where this is going to go, but I know it's going to lead toward freedom and abundance and happiness and fulfillment. We can find the way. We're going to get there. So thanks for listening, and please please keep checking back to my YouTube channel or my blog abscondo.com, and reach out. Let's stay in touch. Let's get to know each other. Thanks so much, and have a very happy holidays filled with calm, peace, love, and a new year filled with abundance. I'll try to do another show before the end of the year. And I keep calling it a show, and I don't want to call it a show because it's not a show. It's just a talk. And but check back, and there'll be more on an ongoing basis. Thanks so much. Bye for now.